The HOA president called the cops on me for trespassing in my own backyard. Big mistake. She had no idea I'm the municipal judge who can shut down her entire corrupt operation with one signature. What started as a quiet Saturday project turned into the day she buried her own power. My name's Harrison Webb, and for 20 years I've served as a municipal judge in Texas. After my divorce last spring, I wanted a fresh start. Somewhere peaceful, predictable, quiet. Maplewood Estates looked perfect. Manicured lawns, children on bicycles, and neighbors who waved like life was a commercial for happiness. For the first few weeks, I actually believed it. The jasmine-scented mornings, the sound of sprinklers, the illusion of order. It felt like control after years of courtroom chaos. Then came Cordelia Blackthorne, the HOA president. Picture a woman who'd turn a bake sale into a power struggle. Perfect bob haircut, diamond watch, and a smile sharp enough to cut glass. People whispered that she kept the neighborhood perfect. What they really meant was that she ruled it through fear. When I bought my corner lot home, I thought I was escaping politics. Instead, I just moved into a smaller version of City Hall, except this one came with fines instead of ballots. And Cordelia was judge, jury, and executioner. She just didn't know she'd finally met someone who actually understood what those words meant. 3 weeks in, I woke up to find my mailbox crushed. Probably a bored teenager with a baseball bat. I replaced it that same afternoon. Same model, same color, same post height. Problem solved. Or so I thought. 2 days later, a thick manila envelope landed on my porch like a grenade. Violation notice, unapproved exterior modification. $150 fine. Escalating $50 per day until I attended a compliance hearing. I reread it 3 times, convinced it had to be a mistake. Nope. My identical replacement mailbox was suddenly a crime. When I walked the neighborhood, I noticed half a dozen newer mailboxes. None fined. That's when I met Marcus, an electrician with calloused hands and a sarcastic grin. "You're new," he said. "Cordelia's already got your file started." Later, Mrs. Chan, a soft-spoken widow, confessed she'd been fined for excessive garden decor. 3 ceramic gnomes. A pattern emerged. New residents, professionals, anyone who asked questions. Cordelia was running a neighborhood protection racket dressed up as community standards. I wasn't angry yet, but my judicial instincts twitched. And once those kick in, someone's usually in trouble. A month later, I decided to build a simple cedar fence. Nothing flashy, just privacy for my woodworking space. I filed the official HOA request, paid the ridiculous $75 review fee, and waited. 30 days. 40. Silence. So, on a Saturday morning, I started digging post holes anyway, well inside my property line. The sun was already punishing, sweat dripping down my back, when the roar of a white Lexus broke the calm. Cordelia stepped out like she was storming a crime scene. Clipboard, sunglasses, measuring tape in hand. "Stop right there," she barked. "You're trespassing on HOA common property." I wiped my hands on my jeans and showed her the licensed surveyor's report. "Every post 6 inches inside my line," I said. "GPS verified." She scanned the paper like she could will it to lie. "These measurements are invalid. I'm calling the police." "Go ahead," I said calmly. 12 minutes later, 2 patrol cars rolled up. When the sergeant stepped out, recognition flashed. "Judge Webb?" he said, half grinning. Cordelia froze mid-sentence. The officer glanced at my documents, nodded, and turned to her. "Ma'am, he's within his rights. You're the one on his property." The silence that followed was sweeter than any verdict I'd ever delivered. Cordelia retreated, red-faced, muttering about further action. As the cruisers left, Marcus leaned over the fence line. "Judge," he said, grinning, "you just made neighborhood history." What Cordelia didn't know was that her call to the police had just handed me probable cause for an investigation she'd soon regret. That night, I sat at my kitchen table surrounded by HOA documents, bylaws, and bank statements printed from their public portal. Numbers don't lie, people do. It didn't take long to find the rot. Landscaping fees doubled without explanation. maintenance contracts awarded to a company called Pinnacle Property Services, LLC. A quick search through court records revealed the owner, Derek Blackthorne, Cordelia's brother-in-law. $89,000 a year for groundskeeping. In a neighborhood with 5 flower beds, I started documenting everything. Photos, receipts, timestamps, emails. My case file grew thick enough to make a prosecutor drool. Then the retaliation began. Cordelia fined me for improper landscaping. Apparently tomatoes were an eyesore. The next day, excessive outdoor storage. My crime? A garden hose. Anonymous complaints started hitting city offices, noise violations, construction violations, even an accusation that I'd harassed the board. It was laughable and predictable. She was panicking. But here's the thing about bullies. They always think louder means stronger. Judges know better. Strength is quiet. It's methodical. It's paperwork. Every fine, every message, every rule she twisted became another line in the growing indictment. The one she was unknowingly writing against herself. 2 weeks later, Cordelia called an emergency board meeting to address non-compliant residents. Translation: a public ambush. I arrived early, evidence folder in hand. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, and tension hung thicker than humidity in August. Cordelia sat at the head table, lips pursed like a queen before execution. "Judge Webb," she began, voice dripping venom. "We've received multiple complaints." I opened the folder and slid color-coded documents across the table. "You mean the fake landscaping invoices signed by your brother-in-law?" The room went silent. Bob Morrison, the treasurer, blinked. "Wait, her brother-in-law?" I continued, calm and deliberate, walking them through budget discrepancies, falsified bids, and missing receipts. Cordelia's facade cracked. "This is intimidation," she shouted. "No," I said softly. "This is evidence." Marcus filmed the whole exchange from the back row. By the time I walked out, 2 board members had resigned on the spot. Cordelia wasn't just losing control. She was losing cover. And that's when the real fun began, because fear changes sides the moment the truth walks in wearing a calm smile. Within a week, subpoenas started flying. The county prosecutor, an old colleague of mine, opened a formal investigation. Bank audits confirmed what I'd suspected. Years of embezzlement disguised as maintenance. HOA funds funneled through shell accounts. Property upgrades billed but never performed. Cordelia tried to fight back. Smear campaigns, restraining orders, even claiming I was abusing judicial influence. None of it stuck. The morning agents arrived with warrants. Neighbors lined the sidewalks like it was a parade. Cordelia was led out in handcuffs, shouting about misunderstandings. Turns out, the only misunderstanding was thinking power meant immunity. When the dust settled, Maplewood's HOA was dissolved pending re-election. New bylaws required full transparency, open budgets, and recorded meetings. Standing in my backyard, I finally finished that cedar fence. The sound of my hammer echoed through the quiet morning, not as defiance, but as closure. Cordelia had tried to weaponize rules. I used them the right way. That's the difference between authority and justice. So yeah, the HOA tried to get me arrested. Instead, they got dismantled. Here's what I learned. Document everything, stay calm, and never let bullies hide behind rules. Paper trails are stronger than threats. If you've ever dealt with a power-hungry HOA, you know exactly what I mean. Tell me where you're watching from. Drop your state below. I'll tell you how your local HOA laws compare. Because justice doesn't always wear a robe or sit behind a bench. Sometimes, it's just a homeowner with patience, evidence, and a fence worth fighting for.